The Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2, in conjunction with Colfax High School, presents Viking Pregame. A look at today's Colfax Vikings boys game. And now, Viking Pregame.
Good evening and welcome to the NLWN2 studios. Rick Olson here, and tonight the 5-3 Colfax Vikings will try to get back on the winning track as they take on the 6-4 Prairie Farm Panthers. The Vikings are coming off a hard-fought loss to Spring Valley last Friday, while the Panthers are coming off a win over the Cornell Chiefs. Now, coming up in this edition of Viking Pregame, we'll take a look at tonight's matchup between the Prairie Farm Panthers and the Colfax Vikings. Then we'll get Coach Noel's perspective on tonight's game in Coach's Corner. Following that, Jay Fall and Dan Petshaw will bring you all the play-by-play action of tonight's game. So it's time to get ready for some exciting high school boys basketball. All that coming up right after this brief timeout. You're tuned to Viking Pregame on the Northern Light Webcasting Network, NLWN2, and Viking TV.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
Welcome back to Viking Pregame, where we're getting ready to bring you all the action of tonight's game between the Prairie Farm Panthers and the Colfax Vikings. The Vikings are looking to get back on the winning track. Now, last Friday, the Vikings took on the Spring Valley Cardinals, and after controlling much of the first half, the Vikings simply ran out of gas before falling 81-69 to drop their record to 5 wins and 3 losses. The Vikings were led in scoring by 6'4" senior Jack Charlo and 5'9" junior Elijah Ensminger. Charlo hit 7 field goals and went 5 for 10 from the free throw line, while Ensminger hit 7 field goals, one of which was a three-pointer, and went 4 for 6 from the charity stripe. They each scored 19 points. They were followed by Nick Jensen, who scored on 7 field goals and 1 free throw for 15 points. Blake Johnson was hot from three-point land, hitting on 3 three-pointers for 9 points. So far on the season, leading the way scoring for the Vikings is Charlo, who's averaging over 19 points per game. He's followed by Ensminger, who's putting up over 17, and Nick Jensen, who's chipping in at nearly 9 points per game. On the boards, the Vikings are led by Charlo and Jensen, who each grab somewhere right around 8 rebounds per game, and Ensminger, who's pulling down nearly 5. The Prairie Farm Panthers come into tonight's game with a 6-4 record following their 77-48 win over Cornell on Friday night. The Panthers play in the East Lakeland Conference, where they have a conference record of 4-1, only a half a game behind conference-leading Bruce High School. Now look for Prairie Farm to be led by 6'2" senior Eric Clefstead, who's averaging right around 15 points per game, while sophomore Jace Nelson is scoring at a 12-point per game clip, with senior Tyler Rosbach chipping in another 11 points per game. So far on the season, the Cardinals are scoring at a 58-point average while giving up 58 points per game. The Vikings are averaging 60 points per game while allowing an average of 57. Coming up next, following this timeout, we'll get the coach's perspective as we chat with Viking head coach Mark Noel on Coach's Corner. You're tuned to Viking Pregame on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2 and Viking TV.
The Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2 are proud to announce that this spring they will be your viewing home for Eau Claire Cowboys football. Check out www.northernlightwebcastingnetwork.com for times and dates. That's Eau Claire Cowboy football on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2.
time now to see what the coaches have to say. It's Coach's Corner, what they look at tonight's game from the coach's point of view. And now, Coach's Corner.
Once again on Coach's Corner, we're talking with Viking boys head coach Martin Knoll. And Coach, last Friday, the Vikings took on the Dun St. Croix Conference leading Spring Valley Cardinals, and they seemed to keep up with the Cardinals step for step until, well, running out of gas in the second half and dropping the game 81-69. Your comments about that game?
A couple different things. One, I thought we had a great first half. You know, we were up 7 points at halftime and doing some really good things. One of the biggest things for Spring Valley in that game was they had 3 kids that had not made a three-pointer all year, and they combined to have 4 threes in the first half against us. So those 12
That's the point
points,
difference.
Yeah, we lost by 12, and if they don't make those threes in their first half, we're up 19 points. You know, because we were up 7. So that game would have been a totally different game. So our kids were super prepared, ready to play. They just had some kids step up and make some big shots. And kudos to them. And in the second half, there were some adjustments that were made. And I think in the big picture, it went in their favor. And we'll get better because of it in the long run, and look forward to playing them again in the future.
Well, fortunately, the schedulers gave the Vikings a non-conference game at this point to work out some of the rough spots in the Vikings game. Are there any areas that you've been paying special attention to?
Just want to keep that ball moving as much as possible. You know, I want to get it from side to side. I don't want to stay on one side of the court. I want to make sure that we're getting, you know, the best possessions is when we can get, you know, everybody to touch the ball, because then it's harder on the defense to guard all of us. And then I want all of our kids to have the freedom to shoot the ball when they're open. And I want them to have that confidence. And that's something that we constantly stress, is shooting the ball when they're open.
Well, that's great basketball. It's a nightmare for a play-by-play guy because your mouth is just working so hard to keep up. But it's great basketball. Yeah. Well, tonight the Vikings take on the 6-4 Prairie Farm Panthers in a non-conference matchup. What can you tell us about the Panthers and any challenges they present?
Well, I think, you know, they're a smaller team. When I say smaller team, they don't have a lot of kids on their team. So your starters, they know they're going to play, you know, 95% of the game or more. You know, so they're not worried about someone else coming off the bench and taking their spots. So they're going to play a lot of minutes. They're going to play a 1-3-1 defense most of the time against us, unless they got something they want to work on tonight. But in a lot of these games, they've been playing a zone, and it's going to give us a chance to see what kids can step up and make some perimeter shots for us. And then offensively, they'll play a 5 out. All 5 guys will be outside the 3-point line, and that creates a problem because now you've got guys like our five players, our centers like a Nick Jensen, who have to go out on the perimeter and guard people outside.
Okay. Well, we're at that point in the season where injuries start to show up. We noticed that, for example, Nick Jensen appeared to be struggling with his ankle. How is Nick doing, and are there any other injuries that are affecting the Vikings?
No, and I would say I think Nick is pretty much 100% cleared up by now. Now it's just a matter of maybe running off a couple of cookies that he had over Christmas break. But other than that, I think he's fine.
Well, Coach Knoll, good luck on tonight's game. Hopefully the Vikings can get right back on the winning track.
Thank you very much. Go Vikings.
You've been listening to Coach's Corner, where they look at tonight's game from the coach's point of view. This has been a presentation of the Northern Light Webcasting Network.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas.
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back to Viking Pregame. The Vikings are hoping to repeat their performance from the first half of last Friday where they controlled the action, only this time make a complete game of it. On the other hand, the Panthers would like to keep winning and prepare for the meat of their East Lakeland Conference schedule. So the stage is set for some exciting boys high school basketball, and we'll have all the action for you right here on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2. Now in just a moment, we'll send it out to Colfax High School, where our broadcast crew is ready to bring you all the action of tonight's boys game between the Colfax Vikings and the Prairie Farm Panthers. That's all coming up next. You've been tuned to Viking Pregame on the Northern Light Webcasting Network, NLWN2, and Viking TV.
Soon the weather will change and you'll be able to breathe in the clean fresh air of spring. And you know what comes right along with that. That's right, it will be time for Eau Claire Cavalier Baseball. Follow the Cavaliers all season long right here on the Northern Light Webcasting Network audio service and NLWN TV. Be sure to check out our website at www.northernlightwebcastingnetwork.com for our current broadcast schedule. You've been tuned to Viking Pregame with a look at today's Colfax Viking Boys game. This has been a presentation of the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2. Stay tuned, coming up next is live Colfax Viking basketball. It happens to everyone eventually, your computer goes on the fritz. Fear not, Sladen's Technology Services can help. When your computer decides to not cooperate, it can be very frustrating. Let Sladen's Technology Services keep you from wanting to drive your computer right off a cliff. Sladen's Technology Services supports business of all sizes. They offer assistance with managed anti-malware, encrypted email, fast tech support, data backup, and recovery, and more. Call Sladen's Technology Services at 715-864-2833 and get the IT help you desire. Sladen's Technology Services is the official IT service for the Northern Light Webcasting Network. Colfax Viking basketball is on the air.
Vikings steal the pass. This is Charlo driving down the left side of the lane, puts it up. It goes in and he draws the harm.
The Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2 proudly present today's Colfax Viking Boys varsity basketball game.
Down to Jensen and on the right baseline, puts it up and in. This is what you were talking about a couple days ago, Dan. Jensen's got to put those shots up, and he's doing it.
Join us as we head out to the gym for today's Viking basketball.
Good evening. Welcome to Colfax High School, where we have non-conference boys basketball action here on NLWN2. The Prairie Farm Panthers are here to take on the Vikings. Prairie Farm is so far second in the Lakeland East Conference with a 4-1 record in the league. They are 6-4 on the season. To take a look at some of Prairie Farm's last games, they've kind of split it since we've returned from break. They downed Cornell by a score of 77-48 last Friday night, and dropped a game to Bruce in their conference, 75-43 on Thursday night. And taking a look at the statistics for the Prairie Farm squad, the Prairie Farm has been slightly outscored by their opponents by a margin of 417 to 397. As far as rebounds, let's go and see. That's about the only team stat that I have for Prairie Farm. And it looks like their games are also off too, so don't have anything to share with you as far as that goes. But Dan, their conference or their record looks pretty decent. 6-4 coming into this one, 4-1 in the league.
Yeah. Good matchup tonight. They were on a run, and they're a nice team to have against. I can understand that.
The Colfax Vikings tonight come in with a record of 5-3. And overall, they are 1-2 in the Dun St. Croix. Of course, this is a non-conference game, so they are tied for third in the conference, along with Mondovi and Plum City Elmwood with very similar records. Spring Valley came from behind on Friday night to down Colfax by a score of 81-69. Thursday night, Colfax beat Turtle Lake at Turtle Lake 58-50. As far as scoring for Colfax, they have outscored their opponents by a margin of 414 to 375. So far, the Vikings have started out a little slower in the first half. Their opponents have scored 146 to 55, and then they flipped it in the second half to 259 and 229. Colfax has been shooting 44% from the field compared to their opponents shooting 37%. From the free throw line, Colfax shooting at about 61%, while their opponents are at 58. Three-point shooting, the Vikings have a 314 three-point percentage, while their opponents a little bit better at 326. Colfax's opponents have out-rebounded them slightly, 24.8 rebounds per game to 23.4. As far as assists, pretty even. The opponents 84, Colfax 81. So let's take a look at some individual statistics here. Leading the individual scoring for the Vikings are Jack Charlotte, 19 points a game. Elijah Ensminger, 17 points a game. Nick Jensen has 8.6 a game, and Blake Johnson has 6 a game. Mason Harrington follows up with 4. As far as rebounding go, Nick and Jack lead the squad with about 8 rebounds per game. Elijah Ensminger has 4.5 rebounds per game. Colfax Vikings Boys Basketball. You're watching it on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2 and Viking TV. We'll be back after this.
As you check names off your gift-giving list, Dairy State Bank encourages you to shop local as much as possible. The reasons are countless. For example, local businesses create 2 out of every 3 new jobs in the U.S. each year. There are times you could save a few cents by ordering online, but when you shop at a local store, you could be saving your community. Shop local for the holidays. It's more important than ever. Dairy State Bank. Banking on relationships. Member FDIC.
Are your animals feeling a little under the weather? Give the nice folks at Colfax Animal Hospital a call. Bruce Buckley is just what the doctor ordered it. In fact, he is the doctor, and he's ready to help. That's the Colfax Animal Hospital. Give them a call at 715-962-3380.
Tonight's Colfax High School basketball game is brought to you by the Colfax Animal Hospital. Let Dr. Buckley and his friendly staff take care of your pet. Dairy State Bank, where they're banking on relationships. Midwest Environmental Consultants, soil testers for the Chippewa Valley. Anderson Bridges, who have been manufacturing prefabricated steel truss bridges since 1989. Slayton's Technology, IT provider for the Northern Light Webcasting Network. Mom's Restaurant Pub in Colfax, comfort food the way Mom used to make it, and Fit Fam Nutrition of Colfax with drinks that taste as good as their names sound, plus they're healthy. Be sure to thank these fine sponsors for bringing Colfax basketball to you here on the Northern Light Webcasting Network. You can tune in to NLWN TV on the Northern Light Webcasting Network tomorrow night as the Viking girls will host the Elmwood Plum City Wolves in a Dun St. Croix Conference battle. Live coverage will begin with Viking pregame beginning at 6:50, and that'll be followed by all the live play-by-play action. That's Colfax girls basketball tomorrow night on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN TV. And both teams are on the sideline now, and we are set to send it down to center court.
Alex Rose and David Paulson. Prairie Farm Panthers. And your Colfax Viking. Introducing the starters for the Panthers. Number 2, senior Tyler Roscoe. Number 3, sophomore Jace Nelson. Number 11, junior Cooper Singerhouse. Number 23, senior Alec Lestad. And number 22, senior Ben. Panthers are led by head coach Willie Geiger. And now the starting lineup for your Colfax Vikings.
Both teams on the court now. Prairie Farm in road green. Colfax home white. They're moving left to right as we look on. Tip goes high. It'll go back to Ensminger. Ensminger to Irwin, and he'll bring it across the 10-second line. Prairie Farm in his 1-3-1 zone. Blake Johnson back and forth with Irwin. Down in the corner it goes to Ensminger. Rolls off, tipped around, rebounded by Ben Law. Out Prairie Farm, up the floor for Prairie Farm. Nelson will toss it out to Klefstedt. Klefstedt driving back a little bit. He'll go halfway down to Nelson. Nelson out on top to Ben Law. Law to Cooper Singerhouse. Back to Law, takes it from three-point land, catches the back iron, rolls off big, and Ensminger comes up with the rebound for the Vikings. He'll drive to the right side baseline, out on top to Irwin. Irwin alley-oops it across the floor to Blake Johnson. Off in the corner goes to Charlo. His three-pointer missed. Pulled off the boards by Eric Klefstedt. He sings it up the floor to Tyler Rosbach. Rosbach into Klefstedt. Klefsted's shot missed, rebounded by Blake Johnson of the Vikings. Johnson up the center of the floor, throws it off to Ensminger, and he'll fire it in to Nick Jensen, who puts in the basket from 10 feet out. And Colfax takes a 2-0 lead, 16:40 to go in the first half. Driving in for Prairie Farm is Jace Nelson. Nelson off on the far side, ball gets loose, and it quickly up the floor. It goes to Blake Johnson, who puts in the basket. And now Prairie Farm brings it up the floor. It's Nelson over to Rosbach. Rosbach down on the baseline to Law. Law up on the right side, miss, rebounded by Johnson of the Vikings. Blake Johnson fires it up the floor to Ensminger, back to Johnson. Over on the opposite wing, it goes to Irwin, down on the baseline to Charlo, all the way across the court to Ensminger, opposite corner, over the top, right into the hands of Cooper Singerhouse for Prairie Farm. Prairie Farm, Klefstedt into Ben Law. Law top of the key, that one rolls off, rebounded by Tyler Rosbach. He puts it up, that one rolls off, pulled off the boards by Irwin. Irwin to Ensminger. He'll dish it off to Blake Johnson, rolls off, no good. Big rebound by Charlo. He's going to get another shot at, and it's blocked again, and Prairie Farm will come up with it. Colfax up 4-0 as quickly it's Klefstedt. Goes in, puts a basket in on the right side, and draws a foul. So the basket by Eric Klefstedt. He's a 6'2 senior guard, and he'll go to the free throw line for one. Other starters for Prairie Farm are 6'1 senior guard, number 2, Tyler Rosbach. Jace Nelson is a number 3, a sophomore guard, and the second free throw tipped around, missed, rebounded by Kyle Irwin. Irwin up the floor to Ensminger. Ensminger from 12 over the top, rebounded by Jace Nelson. Nelson to Klefstedt. Klefstedt crosses the 10-second line, dribbles around his back, off to Tyler Rosbach. Rosbach free throw line extended out to Klefstedt. Klefstedt goes in traffic, ball tapped out of his hands, and he was the last one to touch it, so the Vikings will bring it up the floor. 14:55 to go. First half, it's Colfax 4 and Prairie Farm 2. Jace Nelson, or check that, that's Kyle Irwin, nice and easy across the timeline. Goes to the opposite side, Ensminger for 3, bounces off big, rebounded by Nelson out Prairie Farm. Nelson quickly up the floor to Law. Law doubled up on, he can't go up, and he'll go out to Cooper Singerhouse. Singerhouse to Klefstedt. Klefstedt 3-ball coming off big. Nick Jensen, a tough rebound there for Colfax. Blake Johnson now drives the right side of the lane. He'll pop it off to Colton Hoffman, back into Jensen. Jensen up over the middle, and Colfax stretches their lead to 4 at 6-2. Tyler Rosbach dribbling it for Prairie Farm. Out to Ben Law. Back out on top to Nelson. Nelson, top of the key. He'll have to fire it off to Rosbach. And then he'll toss it over to Klefstedt. Klefstedt swishes in the 3-ball. And it is Colfax 6, Prairie Farm 5, 13:50 to go here in the first half. Colfax with the ball, Ensminger and Irwin going back and forth on the right side. Irwin looks inside, then puts it up from 3, rolls off the left side of the rim, and Klefstedt will bring it down for Prairie Farm. Rosbach up the floor, tries to get a pass over to Cooper Singerhouse, goes straight out of bounds, and the Vikings will take over. Mitch Medine's going to check into the ball game now for the Vikings. And up on the right wing, it is Johnson. Johnson into Medine, back to Johnson. Johnson gets into Hoffman. Hoffman triple team, but Johnson comes to help him out, fires down on the baseline. Open far corner for three. Elijah Ensminger. Colfax 9, Prairie Farm 5, 13 minutes to go in the first half as the ball passed down to the near corner to Jace Nelson. He'll go all the way across the court to Cooper Singerhouse. Went in and on his way in was fouled. That is going to be charged to Mitch Medine. That is his first and Colfax's second team foul of the half. Throwing it in, Singerhouse for Prairie Farm. Dumps it right inside to Nelson, then outside to Ben Law. His three-pointer missed, and Charlo comes up with it for Colfax. He'll zing it up the floor to Ensminger. Ensminger has the ball knocked out of his hands and out of bounds. Prairie Farm will bring it out. This is Blake Carlson now. Carlson out to Tyler Rosbach. Rosbach out on the left side to Klefstad. Klefstad, top of the wheel, dishes it off to Nelson. Back down to Klefstad. Klefstad underneath gets a pass out to Ben Law. And stolen by Ensminger, and he can't keep it on the court. So it'll go back to Prairie Farm. Great effort, just couldn't bring it in. Jace Nelson out to Klefstad. Klefstad dumps it off to Law. Free throw line extended left. Back inside to Rosbach. Rosbach drives in. And a player control foul, no basket. They're going to say Rosbach ran over Ensminger. 12:15 to go first half. Colfax 9, Prairie Farm 5. Medine passes it over to Ensminger. Ensminger and Medine on the left side. Now they'll bounce it down to Charlo. Charlo will bounce it once, left open for a three ball. Ensminger rolls off, rebounded by Fisher. Fisher reload up and in. 11-5 Colfax, 11:50 to go in the first half. Prairie Farm brings it up the floor. It's Klefstad. Klefstad opposite side to Nelson. He'll drive the lane on the left side, and we're going to have a blocking foul called this time on Colton Hoffman of Colfax. 11:43 to go first half. It is Colfax 11, Prairie Farm 5 in non-conference high school boys basketball. And into Tyler Rosbach. Rosbach at the top of the key goes out to Klefstad. Klefstad dribbles around his back, pulls up a three-pointer. Actually, he's inside the arch. It didn't go anyway. Fisher with a rebound for Colfax. Fisher up the floor to Medine. Back down in the far corner. Ensminger loses it, but gets it back. Back and forth, and this one goes up for three. Colfax 14, Prairie Farm 5, 11:14 to go in the first. Tyler Rosbach out to Ben Law. Law to Jace Nelson. Out to Klefstad. Klefstad out at the mid-stripe. And we're going to have a blocking foul called on Elijah Ensminger of the Vikings. 11:01 to go, first half, 14-5. Colfax out in front of Prairie Farm. Pass goes up on the top to Klefstad. Klefstad pulls up, 13-footer, good from the lane. And the Vikings will now bring it out of the backcourt. Medine going from right to left, bounces it in the corner to Ensminger. Ensminger back to Medine. Medine high in the left wing, looks at one, dishes it in to Charlo. His shot is short, and it's rebounded by Klefstad for Prairie Farm. Klefstad across the timeline. He'll direct some traffic out on the left side to Rosbach. Left over on the right side into Cooper Singerhouse, who puts in the bucket. 14-7 Colfax, or 14-9. Colfax out in front of Prairie Farm. Coming out of the corner with it, Ensminger. On the near side, passes it over to Medine. Medine looks at a three ball, rolls off, rebounded by Jensen. Jensen has it tapped away as he was trying to get control of it. Rossback up the court for Prairie Farm. Tosses off on the right side is Cooper. Singerhouse misses the shot. Klefstedt, and it's rebounded by Ensminger. Ensminger off on the right side, pops it up from the corner. That's Aiden Fisher. Aiden Fisher with 3 from Ensminger on the assist. 17-9, Colfax leading Prairie Farm. 9.5 minutes to go in the first half. As Tyler Rossback looks, dishes it off up on the wing to Klefstedt. Back out to Rossback. Then Klefstedt back to Rossback. Rossback's going to drive in, and we're going to have a tripping foul called on Colfax's Elijah Ensminger, and that is his second. 9:14 to go first half. Is Colfax 17, Prairie Farm 9. 5 fouls for Colfax so far, 1 for Prairie Farm. Bounce pass goes in to Cooper Behrens, and it's knocked away, and Mitch Medine picks it up for Colfax. Medine to Charlo, up to Johnson, and Jensen from the free throw line miss. Reload, Charlo short. He's going to go up again. That one doesn't go. Jensen, and then has it taken away. Driving up the floor, Cooper Singerhouse. Cooper Singerhouse too far under. It's going to go off Colfax, though, so Prairie Farm's going to keep it. Jay Fall, Dan Petshaw, executive producer Rick Olson and Jeff Olson with you from Colfax. Up to Klefstedt, 3-ball missed, rebounded by Cooper Behrens. They're going to give it back to Klefstedt. He'll go in for the layup, misses that one. And now the couple of Prairie Farm players end up with the ball, and actually Cooper Behrens had his back on the end line when he got that, so it's going back to Colfax. 8:38 to go, first half. Colfax 17, Prairie Farm 9. And it is Medine out to Blake Johnson. Free throw line extended left. Johnson across the court to Aiden Fisher. Fisher back to Johnson. In the middle to Medine. Medine drives in, tries to get it into Jensen, stolen away again. And into Klefstedt. Klefstedt down in the near corner to Behrens. Behrens shot too hard, and Jensen with a rebound, and bringing it back up the floor for Colfax is Blake Johnson. Has the ball tipped away from him. He maintains control. Gets back to Medine. Medine rolls outside the arch, looks for one, and down to Hoffman. Hoffman up from 10, missed, rebounded. Jensen trying to get that rebound, and a whole bunch of arms tangled up there. Goes out of bounds off Prairie Farm. Mason Yarrington and Kyle Irwin check into the game now for the Vikings. 7:50 to go, first half. It's 17-9. Colfax leading Prairie Farm. As Johnson will bounce it into Colton Hoffman, he'll put it up, misses everything, and rebounded by Prairie Farm. Chase Nelson to Singerhouse. Singerhouse dishes it back out to Ben Law, then to Klefstedt. Klefstedt will drive in, back off, dish it off in the corner to Singerhouse. Three-pointer missed, rebounded by Cooper Behrens. And we're going to have a foul underneath. That's going to be charged to Kyle Irwin of the Vikings. 7.5 minutes to go in the first half. It is 17-9. Colfax leading Prairie Farm. Bounce pass goes inbounds to Tyler Rossback, puts a shot up and in from the left side of the baseline. 17-11, Colfax still leading. 7:22 to go in the first half. Ball goes back to Kyle Irwin. Irwin trying to fire it down to Charlo, and it's knocked out of bounds by Prairie Farm. 6 fouls for the Vikings, 1 for Prairie Farm so far. Johnson's going to throw it in for the Vikings. He'll go way out on top to Yarrington. Yarrington dumps it out to Fisher. Fisher from the corner for 3. Colfax 20, Prairie Farm 11. 7:05 to go first half. Prairie Farm brings the ball up the floor. It's Rossback. Rossback to Klefstedt. Klefstedt back to Rossback. Rossback out to Law. Free throw line left to Klefstedt. Klefstedt drives toward the baseline. Opposite side to Rosbach. He puts it up and in. 20-13, Colfax by 7. And we have a timeout on the floor. 6:44 to go in the first half. It's Colfax 20 and Prairie Farm 13. You're watching Colfax Vikings Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network, NLW2, and Viking TV.
When you have that craving for a home-cooked meal the way Mom used to make it, rest assured, you can still get that meal by going to Mom's Restaurant and Pub in Colfax. Mom's is open daily, serving breakfast and lunch, and don't forget dinner on Friday nights with Mom's famous fish fry. The coffee is always hot, the breakfast is always delicious, and lunch will put a smile on your face and in your stomach. 225 Bremer Avenue, Colfax. Call 715-962-4617. That's Mom's Restaurant and Pub.
2013, Colfax by 7. 6:44 to go in the first half. As Yarrington tosses it into Johnson, and Colfax gets it set again. Free throw line extended right. That pass is tossed into a sea of green and goes out of bounds off them. Colfax will get it underneath their own basket. Blake Johnson's going to throw it in right underneath the Colfax basket on the left side. Gets it into Jack Charlo. Charlo out to Fisher. Fisher up from 8. Puts it in and will draw a foul. He'll go to the free throw line for 1.
Aiden Fisher's got 10 points tonight.
Aiden Fisher shooting. That one in and out. Tyler Rosbach up the floor to Klefsted. Klefsted from the parking lot rolls out, no good. Rebounded by Tyler Rosbach, and we're going to have a foul underneath there. No, violation. Cooper Singerhouse is going to throw it in. He'll go way out on top to Tyler Rosbach. Give and go to Klefsted. He'll give and go to Behrens. Bounces it back to Singerhouse. Back over on the far side to Klefsted. Klefsted is going to draw a foul. No. It's called for traveling. So the Vikings will bring it up the floor. Blake Johnson crosses to the right of the center circle as we look on. Johnson drives the lane, going to put it up himself. Misses and rebounded by Prairie Farm's Tyler Rosbach. Rosbach out to Klefsted, down on the baseline left side to Cooper Behrens. He tosses it over, rebounded by Aiden Fisher of Colfax, out to Mason Yarrington. He misses a three-pointer, and we're going to have a foul charge to Colfax's Colton Hoffman. That's Colton's second foul, and that is the 7th team foul of the half, so that will send Tyler Rosbach to the line for 1+1. The Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN TV are excited to once again be your home for Eau Claire Cavaliers baseball. Follow the Cavaliers throughout the 2023 season on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN TV. And free throw number 1 is up and good. Eau Claire also has a new semi-pro football team, the Eau Claire Cowboys, and NLWN2 along with the Northern Light Webcasting Network. We're excited to be your broadcast home. Follow the Eau Claire Cowboys throughout the 2023 season on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2. Both free throws good for Prairie Farm. 5:40 left first half. It's 22-15. Colfax leading Prairie Farm. Driving up there, Blake Johnson. Johnson out in the corner to Fisher. Fisher, 3-ball, rolls off big and rebounded by Tyler Rosbach. He'll drive it up the floor for Prairie Farm. He'll drive it in the lane himself. He rolls off his leg and out of bounds. Colfax gets it back. See the Colfax girls tomorrow night on NLWN TV. They host Elmwood Plum City here. Driving in for the Colfax boys. A pass to Nick Jensen from Jack Charlo. And the Vikings stretch their lead to 9, 24-15. Coming up on 5 minutes left in the first half. Pass out to Cooper Behrens. Behrens to Singerhouse, or back to Behrens. Sorry, that was Klefsted. Going up for Prairie Farm, too hard. Tyler Rosbach, rebounded by Jack Charlo of Colfax. To Blake Johnson up the floor. Johnson loses it, and Prairie Farm will get it back. 4:42 remaining, first half. Colfax 24, Prairie Farm 15. Throw in bounds to Eric Clefstead. He'll bring it out of the backcourt nice and easy. Down the center, over to Nelson. Nelson out on the left side to Law. A little farther down to Behrens. Jensen trying to tie him up, out to Clefstead. Driving in, Rosbach. Tripled up and finds a seam and gets it to Clefstead. His reverse layup doesn't go, and the reload doesn't go either. Colfax will get the ball back. Out of the backcourt for Colfax. Johnson. Johnson to Jensen. Jensen flips it away. Johnson manages to get over there and get it. Fisher between the jump circle and the key, over to Yarrington. Yarrington out to Fisher. Fisher to Johnson. Back down to Yarrington. Dishes it into Jensen. Jensen, little hook shot, goes in. Good job by him. 26-15 Colfax. Prairie Farm with the ball now. Fired back out on top to Clefstead. Clefstead down to Singerhouse. Singerhouse can't get around Jensen. They got to toss it back to Clefstead and set it up again. Tyler Rosbach, free throw line right. Dishes it up to Ben Law. Going to try the left side this time. Cooper Singerhouse, top of the key. That's Chase Nelson. Shot missed. And foul's going to be called on Tyler Rosbach of Prairie Farm. That is his second. That's Prairie Farm's only third foul of the first half. 3:20 remaining, first period, first half. 26-15, Colfax by 9 over Prairie Farm. Medine, between the jump circle and the key, fires it off to Johnson. Johnson into Charlo. Charlo, reverse layup on the baseline is good. 28-15 Colfax, 3 minutes left first half. Eric Clefstead. Clefstead out to Cooper Singerhouse. Singerhouse. And Singerhouse ended up double dribbling. And was pushing, closely guarded. Nice tough defense for Colfax. Medine into Johnson. Medine crosses the timeline. Medine's pass is knocked out of bounds by Clefstead. 2:41 left first half. As Blake Johnson gets the ball into Mason Yarrington. Back over to Mitch Medine. Medine out to Charlo. Big shot, no good, or that was Johnson, sorry. It was missed, and Prairie Farm quickly up the floor. Tyler Rosbach will bounce it back to Jace Nelson. Nelson will drive in. Nelson has it stolen away from him by Blake Johnson. Johnson driving in, trying a layup on the right side, and they're going to say it was off his hand last. And a timeout on the floor. 2:18 to go first half. It's Colfax 28, Prairie Farm 15. You're watching Colfax Viking Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network, NLWN, and Viking TV.
To get your lawn or garden to perform like you want, you first need to know about your soil. That's where Midwest Environmental Consultants can help. Their soil testing service can give you a complete rundown on your soil's nutrition and health. They test for nitrogen levels, phosphorus, potash, micronutrients, minerals, pH, and organic matter. Let Midwest Environmental Consultants put you in control of your soil's health. Call Midwest Environmental Consultants at 608-468-2067. That's Midwest Environmental Consultants, soil testers for the Chippewa Valley.
Join NLWTV and the Northern Light Webcasting Network tomorrow night as the Viking girls will host the Elmwood Plum City Wolves in a Dun St. Croix Conference battle. Live coverage will begin with Viking pregame beginning at 6:50 p.m. and that'll be followed by all the live play-by-play action. Colfax girls basketball tomorrow night on the Northern Light Webcasting Network. Popping the shot up from the lane is Tyler Rosbach. Shots missed. It's tipped by Jensen, but Prairie Farm still manages to keep it. It's Tyler Rosbach. He'll drive toward the middle, out to Eric Klefstad. Klefstad, 3-ball, no good. Nice rebound. Nick Jensen stolen back right away by Eric Klefstad, and he goes in with a rebound and bucket. Medine, right wing for Colfax. Passes to Blake Johnson. Medine gets it back, looks at one, goes to Yarrington. 3-point land around the rim, out. Jensen rebound. He'll toss it out to Johnson, trying to get it over to Jack Charlo. And picked off by Prairie Farm. Klefstad dribbling to the right will go to Tyler Rosbach. Out on the left side to Jace Nelson. Back over to Eric Klefstad. Klefstad out to Cooper Singerhouse. He'll hand it back to Klefstad. 1:08 left, first half. Ben Law. Law out to Jace Nelson. Nelson top of the key, dishes it off down on the left to Ben Law. Back outside to Jace Nelson. Nelson out to Tyler Rosbach, and Rosbach tries to get a pass into Cooper Singerhouse. And Mason Yarrington got in his way. Colfax will get it back. 52 seconds remaining in the first half. It's 28-17. Colfax out in front of Prairie Farm. Colfax going to take it easy, bringing it out of the backcourt. That's Mitch Medine. Medine loses the ball off his foot, and it rolls into the hands of Jason Nelson of Prairie Farm. Down to Tyler Rosbach. Rosbach reverse layup. Closes the gap. Colfax 28, Prairie Farm 19. Zings it up the floor to Fisher. Fisher back out to Medine. Medine to Yarrington. Up on the wings, back and forth, and Medine hauls it in. Manages to keep it. Will drive it back to Yarrington. Yarrington back to Medine. 15 seconds left. Yarrington back to Medine. Over to Aiden Fisher. Back to Yarrington. 6 seconds. Medine dribbles it once, steps back, goes short. Charlo goes up and makes sure that he doesn't touch the rim as the first half comes to an end. Colfax Vikings 28, Prairie Farm 19. We invite you now to stay tuned for halftime programming. You're watching Colfax Viking Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network, NLW2, and Viking TV.
Anderson Bridges, located in Colfax, Wisconsin, has been manufacturing prefabricated steel truss bridges since 1989. With hundreds of bridges supplied nationwide, we suspect you've crossed our path. It may have been on a pedestrian or bicycle bridge, or how about a snowmobile, ATV, or golf course bridge? Anderson Bridges is likely to have manufactured it. Founded in 1989, Anderson Bridges has been a family-owned company since its beginning and are proud to support the Colfax Vikings.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Time now for Viking Halftime, with today's Viking profile and other halftime entertainment. That's coming up right after this.
Time now for Viking Profile, where we take a closer look at one of the Colfax Viking players. And now, Viking Profile.
Today on Viking Profile, we're going to get to know Eli Ralph. And Eli, you're a what at Colfax?
Junior.
A junior here at Colfax. Now, we know that you play basketball, but are you involved in any other activities here at school?
Yeah, football and baseball.
Okay. Now, when did you start playing basketball, and what kind of an experience has it been for you?
I started in like 4th grade, and it's been an interesting experience.
Okay. What's the most important thing that you've learned playing basketball?
Effort and intensity.
Effort and intensity. Those two vowel words are pretty important when it comes to the game, aren't they?
Yeah.
Now, when you're not playing basketball or you're not here at school, what are some other things that you do to keep you occupied?
I don't know. Ride my 4-wheeler, just work on stuff. I don't know.
Hang around and ride your 4-wheeler?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. All right, some rapid fire questions for you. Pie, ice cream, cake, or cookies?
Pie.
Which kind?
Banana.
Banana pie, like the banana cream kind of? Yeah, okay. Oh, man, now you're making me hungry. All right, your favorite color and why?
Green. I don't know. Just like
Just
green.
like green?
Yeah.
If you could have a superpower, what do you think your superpower might be?
Strength, probably.
Super strength, all right. Now, if Eli Ralph has super strength, he needs to have a superhero name to go with that. So what do you think your superhero name might be?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. So we don't know what Eli's superhero name is, but trust me, he's going to be strong, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that works. You have a favorite NBA team?
Not really.
Not really? Okay, how about a college team?
Probably the Badgers.
Badgers? All right, is there a basketball player in the past at any level of the game who's influenced the way you play your game?
I mean, not really. It's just kind of taking just small facets of the game, I guess, but not really one player in specific.
Okay. All right, and that's fair. We're talking with Eli Ralph on Viking Profile. And Eli, what are your plans for after high school?
Don't really have any, just trying to figure it out as I go, I guess.
And that's kind of what high school is there for, is to try and figure it out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. How about a shout out to the family?
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Okay. And when people watch Viking games, what number are they looking for, and where are they going to find you on the floor?
33 and probably, when I play, probably the 5.
Okay, somewhere under the hole, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, okay. We want to thank Eli Ralph for joining us today on Viking Profile. Coming up next, more Viking Halftime.
You've been listening to Viking Profile. This has been a presentation of the Northern Light Webcasting Network.
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
ZWX.
You're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular.
Let's go see your room.
That's not right. How was it? Is it good?
You've been tuned to Viking Halftime. Stay tuned. Coming up is second half action of today's game on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2.
The family's visit to the forest inspired a beautiful question. Mother, mother, am I a tree? You tell me to stand tall. You tell me to stay rooted. I think I am a tree. My child, of course you are. But what kind of tree will you be? The kind to hug or the kind to climb? Doesn't matter what you choose, so long as you choose to be a tree that's kind.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Colfax at halftime. It is 28 for the Colfax Vikings boys and 19 for the Prairie Farm Panthers. And Dan, let's take a look at how we got there.
Oh, there you go. Here's the scores right now for the Prairie Farm. Their leading scorer is number 23, Eric Clefstead with 9 points, followed by Tyler Rosbeck with 8, and Cooper Singerhouse with 2. For the Colfax Vikings, their leading scorer right now is number 4, Aiden Fisher. He has 10 points, followed by Nick Jensen with 8. Elijah Ensminger's got 6. Jack Charlot's got 2, and Blake Johnson's got 2.
So Colfax bouncing back from their previous game, with Spring Valley. That was a tough one, the second half. Spring Valley roared back, but this one, the Vikings seem to be shooting very well, playing great defense. It's balanced across the board.
Yeah, I've been following Colfax now for, I think, 3 years, and we always talked about the girls having great depth on their team. Have 7, 8, 9 girls in scoring. The boys are getting there now, too. I think we got 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boys already in scoring positions right now for Colfax, and you throw in Aiden Fisher, and that kind of takes a little pressure off Charlo and Ensminger, and that kind of opens up the playbook for Coach Knoll.
Sure does. Well, both teams over on the side now as we're getting ready for the second half. So the Vikings will be moving right to left as you look onto your screen here in the second half. The Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN TV are excited to once again be your home for Eau Claire Cavalier baseball. Follow the Cavaliers throughout the 2023 season on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN TV. So Prairie Farm will start with the ball. Cooper Singerhouse is going to throw it in right down in front of us. Everybody set at the scorer's table. Officials getting in position, and away we go. Singerhouse into Rosbach. Back down in the far corner goes to Clefstead. Clefstead will come out with it and run it back in again. He'll go up, ball tapped out, and Cooper Singerhouse will pick it up, send it down to Ben Law, back to Singerhouse. Singerhouse trying to get rid of it, tries to go to Eric Clefstead. Too hot for him to handle, and it goes out of bounds. Colfax will get it back. 17:42 remains in the second half. Colfax with a 28-19 lead over the Panthers of Prairie Farm. And it's Irwin up to Johnson. Irwin driving in, tripled up by the Panthers. Over on the other side, Johnson open for a three-pointer, miss, ball tipped. Who had it last? Going to Colfax. So Elijah Ensminger is going to throw it in front of some Colfax fans. Inside to Irwin. Irwin tripled up on, passes it out to Blake Johnson. Johnson back to Irwin, who comes out to help him out. He'll dish it down in the near corner to Ensminger. Ensminger alley-oops it across the court to Johnson into Charlo. Back out to Ensminger, three-pointer, good. Nothing but net on that one. And it's 31-19 Colfax, 16:54 to go here in the second half. Driving in, it is Mitch Medine, or check that, that's Tyler Rosbach with the basket for Prairie Farm, and Colfax will bring it up the floor again. It's Jace out to Behrens. Behrens, or check that, Ensminger. Ensminger out to Jensen. Ensminger, three again, and he lodges it in between the backboard and the net. Crowd always gets excited about that. It's it's kind of like a lot of guys can get it to drop through the hoop, but if you can get it up there and have it stick. Irwin out to Ensminger. Ensminger up high. Bounces it over to Johnson. And it's tipped by Klefstad. He's going to go down. Johnson gets down there quick. He'll alley-oop and it's missed. Rebounded by Ensminger. Ensminger will drive in between a couple and are going to have a blocking foul called on Ben Law. That's his second foul. And the first foul of the second half for either team. And we have a timeout on the floor. 16-12 to go, second half. Colfax 31, Prairie Farm 21. You're watching Colfax Viking Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network, NLWN2, and Viking TV.
Mom's Restaurant and Pub in Colfax has just what you need when you have that craving for a home-cooked meal the way Mom used to make it. Mom's is open from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. daily and until 9 on Fridays with a complete breakfast menu. Lunch includes sandwiches, salads, wraps, and burgers, along with Mom's comfort food favorites, and don't forget dinner on Fridays with Mom's famous fish fry. The coffee always hot, the breakfast always delicious, and lunch puts a smile on your face. 225 Bremer Avenue, Colfax. Call 715-962-4617. That's Mom's Restaurant and Pub in Colfax.
Pass into Nick Jensen, into Blake Johnson. Johnson back down in the corner to Ensminger. Ensminger doubled up on, gets it to Jensen. Jensen inside to Charlo. Charlo fouled on his way up by Eric Klefstad. So that will send Jack Charlo to the free throw line. He will get two. First one, good. 16 minutes left, second half, 32-21 Colfax over Prairie Farm. Second one goes in, two, 33-21. Out of the backcourt, Tyler Rosbach to Eric Klefstad, back to Rosbach. Halfway up the floor to Jace Nelson, he'll drive in toward the basket, pop it up and in as he is fouled by Kyle Irwin. That is Irwin's third foul. 15:50 to go. As Jace Nelson on the free throw line for Prairie Farm makes the first, or makes the only. Finishes off the three-point play. Kyle Irwin driving on the right wing, comes over to Blake Johnson with a pass back into Kyle Irwin. Irwin driving up, pops it up and in. Nice layup. 33-24, 35-24 Colfax. 15 and a half minutes to go in the second half. Over to Nelson. Nelson up on top to Cooper Singerhouse. Back to Nelson. Nelson bounce passes it over to Rosbach down inside. Shot missed. Nice rebound by Jack Charlo. And then stolen back by Prairie Farm, and lots of motion underneath there. Prairie Farm's Eric Klefstad puts it in on the left side. 35-26, a 9-point Colfax lead. 15 minutes to go. Ball is stolen away by Prairie Farm. Ben Law grabs it, and it is taken by Eric Klefstad to Law. Back up on the right side to Cooper Singerhouse from the near corner. Out to Klefstad, misses, rebounded by Ensminger of Colfax. He stops, bounces down to the baseline to Charlo. Charlo out to Johnson. Johnson for three, rolls around and out. Rebounded by Ben Law, Prairie Farm. Law up to Nelson. Back over on the right extended free throw line, Klefstad. Klefstad will try to dribble in between a couple of Vikings. Off the window and in. 35-28, Colfax out in front of Prairie Farm. 14-10 to go second half. into Nick Jensen. Jensen out to Blake Johnson. Three-pointer miss, but rebound by Ensminger, and then that ball stolen away by Eric Klefsted. Klefsted outside the arch, up for three, bounces off big. Right back to teammate Jace Nelson, and then it's stolen out of there by Blake Johnson. Johnson up the floor to Ensminger, far corner, manages to contain it, then Jace Nelson steals it away for Prairie Farm. Nelson up the floor trying to get it to Cooper Singerhouse. And a foul's going to be charged to Colfax. That foul's going to be charged on Kyle Irwin, and that is his fourth. Each team has 2 fouls in this second half. 13:38 remains. Down on the far side out to Jace Nelson. Nelson out to Ben Law. Law halfway down to Klefsted. Klefsted bounces it over to Jace Nelson and misses a layup, rebounded by Colton Hoffman of Colfax. Hoffman gets it out to Medine. Medine doubled up on in the corner, goes out to Elijah Ensminger. 3 guys on Ensminger, goes back to Medine. Into Colton Hoffman, he goes up from the center of the lane, good! 13 minutes left as the ball goes flying up the floor to Jace Nelson of Prairie Farm. Nelson out to Klefsted, pulls back, outside on the left side, drains a three-pointer. 37-31, Colfax with a 6-point lead over Prairie Farm. 12:43 to go in the second half. Ball goes halfway down to Ensminger. Ensminger out to Medine, back to Ensminger. He'll look at a three-pointer and go up from the corner. Good for 2. Inside the arch. Now quickly up the floor goes to Jace Nelson, or Cooper Singerhouse. Sorry, now back to Tyler Rosbach. Ben Law over to Jace Nelson. Nelson fires a pass hard into Cooper Singerhouse. He puts it, grabs it, and puts it up and in. 39-33, Colfax by 6 over Prairie Farm. And we have a timeout on the floor. 12:04 remaining, second half. It's Colfax 39, Prairie Farm 33. You're watching Colfax Viking Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network, NLWN2, and Viking TV.
Are your pooch's proportions putting on pounds? Or is your kitty's constitution constantly complaining? Well, stop by and see the friendly folks at the Colfax Animal Hospital. Dr. Bruce Buckley and his staff will be happy to help you get your family friend back on the road to healthy living. That's the Colfax Animal Hospital. Call them at 715-962-3380.
As you check names off your gift-giving list, Dairy State Bank encourages you to shop local as much as possible. The reasons are countless. For example, local businesses create 2 out of every 3 new jobs in the U.S. each year. There are times you could save a few cents by ordering online, but when you shop at a local store, you could be saving your community. Shop local for the holidays. It's more important than ever. Dairy State Bank. Banking on relationships. Member FDIC.
Join us on NLWN2 and the Northern Light Webcasting Network this Thursday night, January 12th, as the Viking boys will travel to Elk Mound to take on the Elk Mound Mounders in a Dunn St. Croix Conference battle. Live coverage will begin with Viking pregame beginning at 6:50 p.m. and then it'll be followed by all the live play-by-play action. That's Colfax Boys Basketball Thursday night on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2. Great shot for Elijah Ensminger. Pushes the Vikings ahead, 41-33. Prairie Farm with the ball. Klefsted dishes it off to Jace Nelson. Nelson puts in a layup on the left side. Prairie Farm within 6. Colfax 41, Prairie Farm 35. Vikings with the ball. Medine gets it out to Fisher. Fisher for 3, rolls out. Prairie Farm there with a rebound. Klefsted dribbles across the center jump circle down on the right side of the lane as he's going to go up, and shot miss, rebounded by Tyler Rosbach. And a foul's going to be called on Elijah Ensminger. That is his 3rd. Ensminger has 13 points so far. Prairie Farm with the ball. It's Klefstad goes up. Shot missed. Rebounded by Fisher. Fisher out of the backcourt. Pass to Medine. Free throw line left or right to free throw line left. And driving in. Ensminger for a bucket from 10 feet out. 10:50 remaining second half. Colfax 43, Prairie Farm 35. Rossback from the free throw line out to Klefstad. Klefstad for three. Hits the backboard, and that's it. Medine comes up with a rebound for Colfax. Medine to Fisher. Back to Medine. Over on the left side to Ensminger. Back out to Fisher. Bounce passes it out to Colton Hoffman. Down underneath. Reverse layup, no good for Charlo. And it's rebounded by Prairie Farm's Tyler Rossback. He's across the timeline on the left side. Tries to fire it inside to Cooper Behrens. Now it'll go back out to the opposite corner and way over the head of Ben Law, who cannot bring it in. 10:10 left, second half. Colfax 43, Prairie Farm 35. Medine into Fisher. Fisher off to Ensminger. Ensminger up high, looks at the three ball, gives it to Fisher. Fisher will take it. That one falls short. And Medine can't quite get there for the rebound. Prairie Farm up the floor quick. Chase Nelson. And stolen back by Medine. Medine, 1-on-2 situation, waits for reinforcements, hands it off to Ensminger. He'll pop it up from the corner for two. 45-35 Colfax, 9:34 left. Prairie Farm out to Jace Nelson. Nelson shot falls short, pulled off the boards by Colton Hoffman. And there's a scuffle on the floor. Let's see, it's going to be, well, somebody's getting a foul out there. It looks like, oh, nope, I guess not. It'll be jump ball, and it'll go back to Prairie Farm. Eau Claire has a new semi-pro football team. The Eau Claire Cowboys and NLWN 2, along with the Northern Light Webcasting Network, are proud to be your broadcast home. Follow the Eau Claire Cowboys throughout the 2023 season on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN 2. We have a foul on that one. That's going to be charged to Elijah Ensminger. And that is his fourth foul. Elijah has 17 points, but he just picked up foul number 4. Klefstad comes in. Ensminger's going to take a break. Check that, that's Blake Johnson. Klefstad turned around, shot missed, goes right into the hands of Colton Hoffman. Hoffman up the floor to Charlo. Charlo driving, waits, flips it back to Johnson. Johnson out to Medine. Medine back to Johnson. Johnson free throw line left. Will send it back over to Medine. Medine for three, bounces out big. Rebounded by Blake Carlson of Prairie Farm. And he is fouled as he goes for it. That's fouls on Colton Hoffman, and that is his third foul.
Yeah, and that kind of puts Colfax in a little bind because Nick Jensen's not 100% yet. And Colton Hoffman and Nick Jensen are their bigs. So we'll have to see what Coach Knoll does here in the last 9 minutes.
Singerhouse into Nelson, or check that, that's Rossback. Down to Ben Law. Law driving in, left side goes up. He traveled. No shot. 8:48 left, second half. Colfax 45. Prairie Farm 35. Across the timeline, it's Klefstad. Or check that, that is Jensen. Jensen out to Medine. Back to Jensen, or check that, Johnson. Back to Medine. Back out to Johnson. Johnson bounce passes it into Charlo. Charlo underneath. Goes up and draws a foul. It's going to be charged to Eric Klefstad. First shot, around and down. 5 team fouls so far for Colfax, 3 for Prairie Farm. Second one is good. Blake Johnson, or that is Alec Clefstead. Now he's going to come out into the backcourt and let teammate Cooper Singerhouse take care of things. Singerhouse didn't have anybody to throw it to, and it's picked off by Medine. Medine into Hoffman. Now it's stolen back by Prairie Farm. Blake Carlson does it and gives it to Cooper Singerhouse. And we're going to have a foul called on Aiden Fisher. That is Fisher's first foul. Cooper Singerhouse is going to throw it in on the Prairie Farm side of things. Into Tyler Rossback, down in the far corner to Clefstead. Clefstead out to Rossback. Rossback to Clefstead. Back over to Law. Law for three. Bounces off the iron, and it's rebound. The shot from 42 Green is picked up by 42 White, Nick Jensen. Johnson out on the far side, out to Mitch Medine. Johnson dishes it out to Medine. Medine halfway down, back out to Johnson. Working with it over on the far side. Viking, and pass grabbed by Hoffman. He puts it up and in. Ed is fouled. And that foul is going to be charged to Alec Clefstead. That is his third. It's going to put Colton Hoffman on the free throw line for Colfax to finish off a three-point play and potentially give the Viking boys a 15-point lead. Bounces out, it's 49-35, but the Vikings keep the ball on their end. Blake Johnson. And that ball goes off somebody's foot over there, Aiden Fisher's, I think. Nope, they're going to say it went off a Prairie Farm Panthers paw. 7:22 remaining, second half. Colfax 49, Prairie Farm 35. Mounds pass, it goes back to Medine. Medine to Johnson. Out to Hoffman. Hoffman falling to the floor. Johnson up for three, nails it. Beautiful 18-foot shot. It's 7 minutes to go in the ball game. And Colfax deflects the pass. Attempt by Prairie Farm, and Aiden Fisher will bring the ball up the floor. It'll be Blake Johnson. Johnson out to Fisher. Fisher from the corner, bounces around, and Prairie Farm comes up with it. Tyler Rossback up the floor in between several Vikings. Back over to Cooper Singerhouse, and falling on the floor, they're going to say that Colton Hoffman had possession, and he traveled. 6:39 remaining, second half. Inbounds, it goes to Tyler Rossback. Rossback to Clefstead. Clefstead out to Jackson Regard, 25. Down to the baseline, left side, it rolls off, and it's tipped out to the Vikings, Mitch Medine. I'll have to find out who number 25 is there. It's not on our roster, but we'll check the program. Blake Johnson. Johnson out to Medine, top of the key, three-pointer, nothing but net. 52-55, 35. Colfax by 26 minutes to go in the ball game. Clefstead out to Rossback. Rossback driving in, puts it up, and no good, but it's rebounded by Clefstead. Clefstead brings it out to the baseline. He'll try it from outside the arch, and loose ball. Grabbing it is Aiden Fisher for the Vikings. Fisher to Blake Johnson, inside to Hoffman, to Mitch Medine, tries a three-pointer, tipped, rebounded by Rossback of Prairie Farm, down underneath on the fast break to Singerhouse. He misses the layup, but is fouled on the way in. That is the fourth foul on Blake, or check that, Alec Clefstead of Prairie Farm. And we have a timeout, 5:28 to go. Second half, Colfax 55, Prairie Farm 35. You're watching Colfax Vikings Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network, NLW2, and Viking TV.
If you've been admiring the freshly groomed look of a baseball field, or the stunning appearance of a golf course, remember you too can have a lawn with the same beauty by simply calling Midwest Environmental Consultants. Their professional lawn care experts can bring your lawn to its full beauty and appearance. Call Midwest Environmental Consultants at 608-468-2067. Let Midwest Environmental Consultants help make your lawn the showplace of the neighborhood.
Join us at the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN TV for exciting Colfax High School girls basketball. Our next game will be on Tuesday, January 10th, when the Vikings will host the Elmwood Plum City Wolves. Live coverage on the Northern Light Webcasting Network audio service and on NLWN TV begins with Viking pregame at 6:50 p.m. That's live Colfax Viking girls basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN TV on Tuesday, January 10th.
Jafald and Petshaw. Jeff Olson on the camera, executive producer Rick Olson with you at Colfax. So the Vikings have the ball. Blake Johnson. Johnson out to Mason Yarrington to Mitch Medine. Medine, top of the arch, gives it to Jensen. Jensen will feed Charlo. He'll go in for a left to right layup. 5 minutes left in the second half. Pass deflected by Colfax. Ball tipped around a lot. Nobody really has control of it. And it's thrown out of bounds by Cooper Singerhouse. So Yarrington's going to throw it in for Colfax out to into Medine. And we're going to have a foul charge to Cooper Singerhouse of the Panthers. Colfax 57, Prairie Farm 35. Inbounds throw, it goes to Nick Jensen. The 42s guarding each other. Ball tipped and picked up by Tyler Rossback. Rossback dishes it off on the left side and waiting for it. Shot still doesn't go, and it goes off of Colfax. Prairie Farm's going to keep it on their end. 4:40 left in the ball game. Out to Irwin, or check that, that's Nelson. Shot falls short, and it is rebounded by Nick Jensen. Jensen out to Blake Johnson. Johnson to Charlo. Back to Johnson. Colfax pulling it out to slow things down a bit. Give and go to Yarrington. Yarrington out to Medine. Three-point shot missed. Rebounded by Tyler Rossback. And he'll pop it up over on the far side, and it's rebounded by Charlo. Yarrington comes to pick up the loose ball out to Charlo. Charlo over the top. And across the timeline, it's Singerhouse. Singerhouse to Rossback. Rossback drives up. And he is fouled on the way in by Mason Yarrington. That's his first foul of the game. Colfax has 7 team fouls. Prairie Farm has 6, and we have another timeout. Colfax 57, Prairie Farm 35. You're watching Colfax Vikings Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network, NLWN2 and Viking TV.
Join us on NLWN2 for exciting Colfax High School Boys Basketball.
This is what we came in for!
Our next game will be on Thursday, January 12th, when the Vikings travel to Elk Mound to take on the Elk Mound Mounders. Live coverage on the Northern Light Webcasting Network audio service and on NLWN2 begins with Viking pregame at 6:50 p.m. That's live Colfax Viking Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2 on Thursday, January 12th. The Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2 are proud to announce that this spring they will be your viewing home for Eau Claire Cowboys football. Check out www.northernlightwebcastingnetwork.com for times and dates. That's Eau Claire Cowboy football on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2.
On the free throw line for Prairie Farm is Tyler Rosbach. Sends the first one up and in. 3:35 left in the ball game. It is Colfax 57, Prairie Farm 36. Second one up, bounces off the back iron, and it's rebounded by Mitch Medine. Medine, nice and easy out of the backcourt for the Vikings. Medine, give and go to Johnson. Johnson. Oh, there's a foul called on 33. That's Eli Ralph. That is the 8th team foul for Colfax. Tyler Rosbach, give and go to Jace Nelson. Into Cooper Singerhouse. Back out on the near side to Tyler Rosbach. Rosbach looking for somewhere to go with it, gives it to Klefstedt. He'll try the three-pointer, miss, tipped around in there by Medine. Still a scurry for the ball, coming up with it to Rosbach, and Rosbach puts it up and in. 57-38, Colfax with the lead over Prairie Farm as Eli Ralph brings it up the floor, goes up, shot blocked, and rebound by Ben Law. And then it goes to Klefstedt. Klefstedt out in the far corner for Prairie Farm. Klefstedt to Rosbach. Rosbach drives in from the wing and puts it up and in. 57-40, Colfax, 2:25 left in the ball game as Blake Johnson brings it out of the backcourt for the Vikings. To Medine. Medine comes out, free throw line extended right. He heads back there after giving the ball to Mason Yarrington. Yarrington gives it to Charlo. Charlo out to Yarrington. Yarrington takes a three ball, goes over the top, rebounded by Alec Klefstedt. Driving in for Prairie Farm, hangs it up on the rim. That's Tyler Rosbach, and he's fouled on the way in. 2 minutes left in the ball game, and on the free throw line for Prairie Farm, Tyler Rosbach. Colfax 57, Prairie Farm 40. First shot, good. $16 points for Rosbach. And that's what he still has, but Ben Law comes up with the rebound for Prairie Farm. Cooper Singerhouse caught halfway down between the corner and midcourt. Shot goes over the top, and it's rebounded by Jack Charlo. Charlo being harassed on the way up the floor. Hands it off to Kyle Irwin. Irwin out in the middle to Ralph. To Yarrington, bounce passes it near corner to Johnson. Johnson up to Charlo. Charlo makes a move, puts it up and in. 1:20 left in the ball game. Colfax 59, Prairie Farm 41. And the ball gets tipped out of bounds by Jack Charlo. Prairie Farm will keep it. Cooper Singerhouse is going to throw it in. Singerhouse out to Klefstedt. Klefstedt, 15-footer, good for two. 1 minute left in tonight's game. Yarrington and Johnson bring it out of the backcourt. Johnson methodically moves it across. And the ball is stolen away by Cooper Singerhouse. Singerhouse pulls up from 10, misses. Rebound goes to Eli Ralph. Ralph, or check that, Johnson. Excuse me. Ralph to Yarrington. Yarrington, give and go out to Blake Johnson. Driving, Johnson up the center, off the glass, too hard. Gets his own rebound, dribbles it once out to Yarrington for three, swishes it. Prairie Farm bringing it up the floor. Over in the far corner, it goes to Nelson. Nelson will go from the corner and drive the left baseline. There are 5 seconds remaining in the ball game. That's Colfax's 10th foul, and that is the second foul on Mason Yarrington. First shot up and in, Jace Nelson. 5 seconds remain in tonight's game. And checking in now, Ashton Greenwell for the Vikings. As Jace Nelson dribbles it and bounces off the back iron and in. And ball tossed in to Blake Johnson. We'll just have Colfax start the time, and that's it. So the Colfax Vikings beat Prairie Farm tonight by a score of 62-45. We invite you now to stay tuned for post-game programming. You're watching Colfax Vikings Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network, NLW2, and Viking TV.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for Colfax Boys Basketball. This has been a presentation of the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2. Stay tuned. Coming up next is Viking Post Game, where we'll take a look back at today's Colfax Viking Boys game.
The central and midwestern U.S. averages more than 850 tornadoes each year, and lately, the number of floods has been rising in the region too. So chances are, there will be more twisters and floods near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are, you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Time now for Viking Post Game, a wrap-up of today's Colfax Viking Boys game. And now, Viking Post Game.
Welcome back. Colfax has just defeated Prairie Farm in boys basketball by a score of 62-45. And joining us now is Colfax head coach Mark Knoll.
Hello.
Hi, Mark. A good, consistent effort by your team tonight.
Yes, Prairie Farm's a team, they came in here with a winning record at 6-4, I believe. And they've had some nice wins. And that's a team that wasn't going to quit, as you saw. They're going to keep battling. And I thought we fought through some adversity, with Elijah getting into foul trouble and with Kyle getting into foul trouble. We had kids like Aiden and Mitch step up and play some good games. And some kids maybe didn't, but that's okay. That's what happens when you're 15, 16, 17 years old. You know what I mean? These kids, they deal with things that we don't always know about, and I thought they played hard.
You bet. What did you see different from Friday night's effort? I mean, it was pretty quick.
I think overall we had some different guys step up and make some shots, which is good. Over at Spring Valley, we might have relied on a little bit of Elijah and Jack. They both had 19 points apiece. So it was really nice, and Nick had 15. So it was nice to see Aiden step up and get hot in that first half, because he's a kid that we all believe in, that we know that he can make some shots. It was good to see Mitch hit a three. It was good to see Kyle hit a pull-up jumper today as well, because they all can. They can make those shots. And then Mason hit a three late too. So it was nice to get more guys on the scoreboard for us.
You bet.
Yeah, 10 guys scored. 9 guys, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. And that's building some bench strength, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, back into the conference battle, big time, Thursday night.
And back
big
on
rivalry.
The road. Back on the road.
Yep.
And back in conference. So Elk Mountains, as everyone said, that's the team to beat. So we know that. They're going to play 1-3-1, which we had to go against tonight a lot. So that, this was kind of like a prelim to that game a little bit. So having to go, Elk Mound's going to come with more size and more athletic ability. So it's going to be a harder game, but I think, as you can see, we can shoot the ball on the perimeter, so they're going to have their hands, filled trying to guard all of our kids that can shoot the ball.
Okay, well, Mark, a great effort tonight. Thanks for coming up and talk with us, and we'll see you Thursday night.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys.
All right, Mark Knoll, the head coach of the Colfax Vikings, as his team has defeated Prairie Farm 62-45. And Dan, let's take a look at the numbers.
Yeah, here's the scores tonight for Prairie Farm. Their leading scorer was number 23, Eric Klofstead. He had 18 points, followed by Tyler Rosbeck with 16. We had Jason Nelson with 7. And Cooper Singerhouse with 4 for the Colfax Vikings. Their leading scorer tonight was number 10, Elijah Ensminger. He had 17, followed by Jack Charlotte with 10. We had Nick Jensen with 8. We had Blake Johnson with 5. We had Mason Yarrington with 3. We had Mitch Medine with 3. And we had Kyle Irwin with 2.
So 9 players for the Vikings got on the scoreboard or in the scorebook, and that's a great effort. You can make a lot of things happen with that.
Yeah, pretty much Coach Snow can go to any guy on this sheet, and he knows he's going to get points from 90% of them for sure. And when he got that, the other teams, it's hard to guard everybody, and so yeah, you don't have to play your main players all the time. You can throw in, like Colton Hoffman, who put up points tonight. That helped out with Nelson. Throwing Aiden Fisher, that helps with Ensminger and Kyler Medine. So, yeah, on to Elk Mound.
Right, which is always a classic battle, neighbor up the road, big rivalry, and good basketball in that one.
Yeah, that's always a packed house.
So the Vikings win tonight by a score of 62-45, and I got to get my paper here. Let's see, that brings the Vikings record to 6-3 on the season, and they, since this was a non-conference game, they are still at 1-2, but hopefully they'll even that up on Thursday night. Tonight's Colfax High School basketball game is brought to you by the Colfax Animal Hospital. Let Dr. Buckley and his friendly staff take care of your pet. Dairy State Bank, where they're banking on relationships. Midwest Environmental Consultants, soil testers for the Chippewa Valley. Anderson Bridges, who have been manufacturing prefabricated steel truss bridges since 1989. Slayton's Technology IT provider for the Northern Light Webcasting Network. Mom's Restaurant and Pub in Colfax. Comfort food, the way Mom used to make it. And Fit Fam Nutrition of Colfax, with drinks that taste as good as their names sound. Plus, they're healthy. Be sure to thank these fine sponsors for bringing you this action throughout the season by doing some business with them. So for our cameraman, Jeff Gus, sorry, Jeff, messing up your name several times. I messed up a lot of names tonight. But anyway, executive producer Rick Olson is here. And for Dan Petshaw, I'm Jay Fall. Thanks a lot for joining us. Good night.
You've been listening to Viking Postgame, a wrap-up of today's Colfax Viking Boys game. You can catch Colfax Vikings games by tuning in to any of the Northern Light Webcasting Network outlets. This has been a production of the Northern Light Webcasting Network.